Just got a Slack notification saying that there's a new self-storage development out in Duluth, Georgia. Cool.
Why would I be using the Radius Plus app while riding a bicycle? I don't know. But point is, you can do it. That's the point. All right, let's talk about Slack. Let's talk about why you need to know how to use Slack if you are involved in the Radius Plus application and the self-storage world, why Slack is going to be your best friend. Slack is a peer-to-peer communication platform that has exploded across the world for colleagues to chat with one another. Remember AOL Instant Messenger? Remember GChat? Probably still use GChat. Yeah, it's not too far from those. Within Slack, chats can be organized by topic. They can be private groups or direct messages. You can send and receive files with little to no compression, and you can search historical messages, which is super handy if you forgot what Bill messaged you 9 months ago or the file that he sent you. That is all very easily searchable and at your fingertips. Those are the basic fundamentals that a lot of people use Slack for.
Slack is where work happens. It's a new layer of technology that brings together people, applications, and data, and it's replacing email around the world.
But why should you download Slack if you use Radius Plus? Great question. The best way to say it is this. The world moves very fast, and if you don't stop to look around once in a while, you might just miss it.
You could miss it.
I'm just kidding. That is a different story, but the world does move pretty fast, and knowing about new developments and about new self-storage listings, the second that they do hit the market, the second that they hit the Radius Plus platform is really invaluable. With the Slack tool, you can set functionality to know if a self-storage facility has hit the market in Sacramento, California, or in Savannah, Georgia, as soon as it does. The way you go about doing that is largely very straightforward. Radius Plus has an insider tool. We've actually talked about it for a long time now. I feel like the biggest hurdle for people is this notification component, which is why I'm taking a couple seconds just to explain to you that Slack is pretty awesome, and I would highly recommend downloading it. I'll go ahead and walk you through really quickly how to download it. All right, you're gonna go ahead and log in to the Radius Plus platform. Cool. Hi, Jonathan. Once you're logged in, let's go ahead and go to the products menu and then slide down here to Insider. Once you're on the Radius Plus Insider platform page, you can go ahead and learn a little bit about the product down here. But once you do so, you can go ahead and click subscribe. This will bring you to this page. This is the pricing page. You're going to go ahead and enter your payment method and hit subscribe. Once you hit the subscribe button, you are directed to this Insider welcome page where you have Corey Sylvester giving us a little video here. He'll explain a little bit about the tool, but what you're going to want to do is jump back into your email. And in your email, you are going to get an email that looks like this. It is actually from feedback@slack.com. Feel free to check your spam folders, but this is where you join the Slack application tool. And a little link about how you can learn more about Slack. So go ahead and click the Join Now button, and this will direct you to a page where you can create an account and sort of set up your Slack profile. These steps are largely straightforward, and once you do get yourself set up into the Radius Plus workspace, you're going to look at the left-hand panel over here, and you're going to see radiusplus.slack.com. You're going to want to go ahead and scroll down to channels where you can add a channel, and you'll be able to add this new developments channel and this listings channel. And these two channels are why we're here. So these two channels, you'll be able to, if you so choose, you'll be able to look at the new developments and you'll be able to look at the new listings, both of which are fed into the Slack application in real time. Well, that is the Slack process. Really just wanted to explain how the Slack process works. It's an incredibly helpful tool that you can get through the Radius Insider product for $49 a month. Highly recommend checking it out on your own time. It's pretty exciting stuff. Moving on, I have a scenario for you. Let's say that you own a house in a city. The city's growing, your house is beautifully located right in the middle of the city. As that city keeps going and progressing, city owners and officials are expanding the city. Maybe they're putting in more government buildings, more schools, more highways or roadways or traffic to connect different parts of the cities. As the city is growing, they offer to buy part or all of your house or property. and you refuse. They offer you money and you don't take it. So then they resort to something called eminent domain.
Eminent domain allows the government to take ownership of private land or property and convert it to public use. In general, the government has to pay market value. You can imagine that the seller of that land sometimes doesn't agree to the price that the government wants to pay.
Does it sound familiar? Because you declined the offer, your case could be taken to court where, just compensation could be provided to you based on judicial system review. That's when at this time you decide out of nowhere to put a lot of balloons on top of your house and lift the house out of nowhere into the sky to get out of that city altogether. All right, well, the thing is, what we're talking about is actually very important for self-storage because this happens all the time for businesses that are along hallways, and sure enough, go figure, self-storage has historically been placed along roadways and highways quite frequently, and roadways and highways are the most susceptible to eminent domain when cities are changing their schematics. As poor of a job as I just did explaining eminent domain, Rich Correll of Correll Commercial Real Estate is so much better at it than I am, and he is probably one of the best in the business to talk to you about it. He's helped a lot of people out in the self-storage world, but he's also very informative if you ever find yourself in a situation where this might happen to you, which is more frequent than you might imagine. I'll let him explain.
Thanks. As a commercial real estate appraiser, we're faced with a lot of challenges in self-storage, from financing facilities to feasibility and market studies for planned projects. But one of the areas that people don't think about, and it's becoming a bigger factor around the country, is this concept of, under the banner of right-of-way, or the taking of private property under eminent domain. And when a roadway is expanding or a bridge is being built, government will have to compensate owners for the taking of their land. And the term for this is just compensation. How much should that be? Well, it's supposed to be based on the market for that portion of property they are taking. So government appraisers do a job of calculating what's owed for grass seed and land and maybe a sign, but they're lesser great at figuring out the damage to the remainder or the residual. And that's a big deal. So we've come in on many cases where we estimate not only how much the land is worth that they're taking and the improvements on that land, but also what has happened with the property in terms of cash flow, movement around the site, access, potentially revenue if there was a billboard that was taken out. These are the bigger issues that are many times overlooked by government.
All right. Rich actually offers a lot of information, and there's more insightful tips that he has for you that we're going to be releasing shortly. So stay tuned for some of those helpful insights. And thank you again, Rich. Speaking about eminent domain and growth in cities, I do want to segue a little bit into some data. And looking at a bit of the data that we have here in Radius Plus, I'm going to swing over here to the computer and log into Insider. We're going to check out some supply growth. And off the bat, when looking at some supply growth, one of the biggest things that stands out is this figure right here. So in 2019, we had quite a bit of deliveries. That certainly jumped off this past year in 2020. So, you can look at this data a million different ways. I think one of the best ways that I personally like to look at it is if you hold down the Shift key and click on the chart anywhere, you're going to create a CSV file right here where you can export supply. And then you can go ahead and throw this guy into Excel, into Pages, into Google Sheets, wherever is most convenient for you to absorb the data. This is how I pulled it up here, and I want to show you this. So we have the top 25 CBSAs from the past 4 years. If you look at, looking at 19 to 20, I think is fascinating for a number of reasons. The world was different, but let's dive into market by market case. All I did was take the supply growth square feet and applied a change formula to look at which markets changed the most. And off the bat here, we see a negative 93% from Denver or Lakewood, Colorado, Pretty remarkable that Colorado had a robust 3 years, spitting out well over 1 million net rentable square feet of increased supply each year for the past 3 years. Meanwhile, you look at 2020 and it fell off a cliff to 68,000. So I think that one stands out. Plus, we have a negative 57% in Dallas. So Dallas certainly jumped off. They've had insane numbers over the past several years that really, only Manhattan and New York City tri-state has seen comparable figures. But needless to say, they fell quite significantly down to just over 1 million square feet of increased supply in the past 2020 calendar year. So that's just a quick take of some data. That's certainly very interesting to me, but I would encourage you to go check that out on your own time. It is very fascinating to look at. Well, that segues us nicely into point number 4 here. Why do a lot of experts think that there's not too much to worry about amidst somewhat of a slump here in 2020? For a number of reasons, but let's just look at our good friend, Mr. Jim Gaffigan, because he says it pretty darn well on this week's Who Said It Better. Let's hear it from Jim.
It seems wherever I go in America, people seem to have 3 things in common. We love our country, we love our family, and we all have a storage unit. Supposedly we live in a throwaway culture. We replace our phones every year, throw out clothes that still fit us. Some people even have starter marriages, but we still have storage units. You can't drive down a highway in America without passing a storage unit complex. It appears everyone has a storage unit now. Even those people with attics and basements seem to have storage units. I don't know why there are so many storage units. We all can't be in between moves. Maybe it's quantity over quality. Maybe we are all expecting a call from the Smithsonian. Hey, do you have an ugly lamp that is also a football helmet? Good, because we're doing an exhibit on losers. If you could get that to DC, ask a smart person where it is. I don't understand the logic of a storage unit. Hey, you know that ugly stuff we never use? Why don't we pay a stranger to hold on to it? That way we can cringe every month when we realize this stuff isn't worth the monthly charge we're paying.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. We do have a lot of stuff in the United States of America and in Canada and all of North America. But that'll do it for episode 2 of the Radius Plus studio show. My name is Jonathan Aiken. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks.